Have you ever caught yourself scrolling your social feed, wishing to be a part of other people's wonderful experiences? Or maybe feeling like something is missing in your life, even when everything seems to be okay? Or maybe having some regrets for not taking what seemed to be one in a lifetime opportunity? If your answer to at least one of these questions is yes, then you got to the right video. In this video, we're gonna explore why you feel anxious while using social media, what is FOMO or the fear of missing out, how to deal with rational and irrational FOMO, how to boost your joy and contentment with life. My name is Alina, and on my channel I'm sharing my journey towards finding balance in life and sharing my discoveries in such topics as self-development, human psychology, self-mastery. So if the idea of getting better through self-exploration and connection is close to you, I invite you to hit the subscribe button and become a part of my journey. Let's start from defining FOMO, or the fear of missing out. FOMO is an uneasy feeling that you get when you believe that other people are having more fun experiences than you do. You might even experience a retrospective FOMO while digging in the memories and thinking, what would have been if I've chosen a different path, if I went with that option instead of that one. While FOMO about the present and the future is fueled by the feeling of anxiety about which action is best to take right now, the retrospective FOMO can be even more toxic because it is accompanied by the feeling of regret and excessive rumination. Can FOMO even be rational, or do we need to fight it regardless of the reasons for which it appears? Let's see. In my opinion, while the nature of fear seems to be limiting and preventing us from bringing out our best selves, in case with FOMO, really, in some situations it can serve you as a guide, as a compass leading you to take a closer look at yourself, to see what's hiding beneath the surface, to understand yourself better and become a better friend for yourself. FOMO can be rational and irrational. Let's take a closer look at them and highlight the core differences between them. Your FOMO is rational in two cases. The first one is if your reality is objectively negative because of the circumstances that are out of your control, such as sickness, traffic jam, or climate. The second case is if it keeps coming up around the same topics, for instance, traveling, relationships, career fulfillment, etc. In this way, it serves you as a signal that you need to pay closer attention to, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. Your FOMO is irrational if you're making a lot of pictures just because you're afraid to miss on the memories. You're saying yes to the opportunities that do not align with your current value system. You're second guessing what other people feel and decide that their feelings are better than yours. You allow what if to disrupt your calmness and presence in the current moment, in this way experiencing the retrospective FOMO about your past. And fifth is when you trust external stimulators such as stories of other people, advertisements, and pictures more than your past experiences and self-knowledge. I believe that everybody does experience FOMO from time to time, and nobody is really immune to it, as it taps into two primary brain circuits: wanting to have something that another person has, and deep-seated fear of ostracization. Fear of community exclusion is tied to our survival instincts, because if we take it back to the times when we were living in tribes, banishment from the tribe literally meant death to the individual, because it was almost impossible to survive on your own. Before we proceed to the how-to section, where you'll figure out how to deal with different types of FOMO, how to raise your satisfaction with life, and what is the step that will help you prevent FOMO in the long run and overall become less susceptible to it, I'd like to take a brief look on its effects on your life. In the long run, high levels of FOMO lead to low self-esteem because you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, anxiety, decreased ability to experience happiness, and fragmented attention because it makes your thoughts scatter around, jumping from thought to thought, from the idea to the idea, thinking about what's missing. The mechanism of FOMO is being supported by the rules that that place in which you send the most attention and focus will grow and multiply. So if you are sending your focus and asking yourself what's missing in my life rather than what's the reason in my life that I can be grateful for, it forms a framework around which FOMO can thrive, in which FOMO can be like, yoo-hoo, I can occupy here everything, all of her internal mind space will be occupied by me now. Some research even suggests a link between high levels of FOMO and changes in the brain area that is called precuneus. This part of the brain is actively involved in such processes like self-reflection and social awareness, which might mean that FOMO is not only preventing us from being in the moment, disrupting our rhythm and flow of life, but also potentially stops us from forming deep connections with others, as well as from building self-awareness. How to deal with FOMO? As I've mentioned, there are two types of FOMO, rational and irrational. So let's start from the strategy of dealing with the rational FOMO. If your FOMO is rational and you are in the category of the first situations that I've described earlier, meaning that you're currently in the situation that is out of your control. Let's say you are sick and you are afraid to miss out on the meetings with your friends, or you're in the traffic jam getting terribly late for an important meeting, being afraid to miss on the details about the new project, then the best strategy would be to shift your focus from what you cannot do and cannot influence to what you can do and very well influence. Let's admit the fact that our lives are not always perfect and things are happening. I've prepared 3 questions for you that will help you shift your focus from what you cannot do to what you can do and very well influence. The first question is, which mindset do I want to equip myself with that can help me go through this situation in the best possible way? Second question sounds like this: what lesson can I learn from this situation? And the third question, which is really the hardest out of all 3, is what's good in this situation that otherwise wouldn't happen? This question will help you maintain your inner sense of calmness and peace even in the darkest times. Answers for those questions in the example of being sick could be: I want to make myself as comfortable as possible, allowing my mind to rest and stopping myself from pitying myself and overthinking. I can learn to pay closer attention to the signals that my body sends me every day and to take better care of my health overall. The answer to the third question would be, for instance, I have the opportunity to cleanse my body by eating lighter food and experience higher gratitude for the health that I have most of the time. Let's look closer at the second situation. When your FOMO keeps coming up about the same topics like traveling, relationships, career, it can happen when you are seeing somebody from your sphere going through some interesting education, or when you are seeing your friends having fun on some exotic travels. The important thing here is to ask yourself, what is important to me in this activity? Usually it's not about the activity itself, but the unrecognized value that is standing behind it, something that you've been neglecting but actually very much want to be part of your life. This is a very cool methodology because it helps you to unpack your hidden desires and gives you a direction in which you can go in order to experience higher satisfaction. Don't copy the activities that others do. Look at the emotion that is standing behind it. What does it look like? Is it childlike fun? Is it calmness and peace? Is it something about professional fulfillment that you are currently lacking? Ask yourself, what's in it important for me, and how can I implement this on a constant basis?
find the simplest way possible to implement this unrecognized value. Like if it's the desire to experience childlike fun, explore some local events, explore local places, uh, go to some musical concerts if that's what you like. Personally, for me, every week I'm going to jam session where different musicians and vocalists gather and improvise, and that's a lot of fun for me. Find the emotion and ask yourself what could bring me this emotion, what could help me uh, make this emotion a part of my life on a constant basis. Which activity or what kind of thing or what did I want to try, but I've been postponing it for so long, and now I feel like it's time because this FOMO keeps coming up, signaling me that this is important. If during this process you've noticed something that you've never noticed before, please be kind towards yourself. Probably there are many reasons why you haven't noticed it before. We have so many things impacting us, like cultural pressures, the prevalent lifestyles that are portrayed as good, some certain interests that are portrayed with some negative connotation, as well as our desire to fit in and be liked that has very deep-seated evolutional reasons. Moving closer to your unrecognized values will help you get closer to your true self, get this sense of inner freedom, and overall bring you contentment with your life and make you less susceptible to FOMO. In the process of dealing with rational FOMO in the second case, when it keeps coming up around the same topics, you might actually realize that it's irrational. So if you realize that it's irrational, then you'll need to apply some strategies that I'll be discussing now. If you've come to realize that your FOMO is irrational, then you've already done one of the most important steps, which is to become aware of it. The next thing to do would be to engage more with your reality. If you ask yourself, what is this feeling like? What is FOMO like? What does it feel like? You'll understand that it's a lot about social comparison, about flying in your thoughts, imagining, filling in the blanks in the reality with your imagination. So focusing on what's here, what's in my reality, how can I impact my reality, how can I contribute to my better good, will help you become overall more grounded, more calm. Let's be honest, the biggest reason why FOMO is so prevalent in our society is social media. We are opening our Instagram or YouTube, seeing all of these perfect pictures popping up that makes us feel like our reality is not like that. Our reality is not so colorful. It's not so filled in with all of these amazing experiences. There is other side to that. I've actually done some research on how do we experience FOMO when engaging in social media interactions, and I was a bit shocked. Here is what I found out. When we are engaging with social media, our personal reward neuropathway is being activated, which is a network of structures that is being activated when we have pleasurable experiences, motivating us to seek them again. So when we see somebody having a nice experience lying somewhere on the beach in Hawaii, we first have this anticipation, and dopamine is being released from the anticipation of this pleasure, of us being the part of that experience. We are literally living through this experience, wanting to be the part of it. We are anticipating it, and that what happens is a prediction error. Prediction error is a discrepancy between the reality and what we expect to happen by imagining, by seeing this, by being stimulated by those pictures. So when we feel this gap between what we imagine and what is actually happening, we have this bad feeling that we want to alleviate, to shake it off. And so we continue scrolling, each time having a small release of dopamine in attempts to shake off that bad feeling, to alleviate it. But here is the thing. Our body is super smart. It always seeks homeostasis, which is a balance of pleasure and pain. So the more we are stimulated by some pictures, by social media, the more pleasure we have during this process, the more pain we will experience later, because our body will try to self-regulate, to balance things out. So the more frequently you are in general exposed to this kind of fast pleasures, the lower will be your baseline, the harder it will be to feel good in general. That's why FOMO driven behaviors are so addictive, because it's just easy to go into the cycle, and it's a never ending process. And the more you are inside of it, the harder it is to get some sense of distance, to understand on the emotional level how does life feel without all of those stimulations. Here are some additional steps that will help you in dealing with irrational FOMO. The first step would be introduce some practices that are focused on being in the moment. It could be meditation. It could be just drinking coffee and trying to be conscious in the moment, not using any social media, phone, technology, etc. It could be dancing, mindful walking, anything that helps you feel your body and yourself in the space, in the current moment. As for me, I love yoga and guided meditations on YouTube. The second step would be to reduce the cues that are triggering your FOMO. I actually have a personal story with that. For a long time, I've been postponing my Instagram detox because I loved all of those accounts I was subscribed to. So I made screenshots of all of those accounts, thinking that I'll resubscribe to them again, and then unsubscribed from all of them for a month. And after a month, I realized that I felt so great not having the track of all these countless lives in my head, so that I never resubscribed to them again. I never opened those screenshots. I even kind of just selected them all and deleted. The biggest thing that was triggering my FOMO is interacting with social media profiles. Like YouTube for me is definitely not that addictive because it's like longer videos. You can really feel like you are deeply connecting with somebody, like you are deeply thinking about something, and when you are like this, quickly swiping somebody's stories, to me is definitely much more potent and was making me much more anxious. Another thing was that I was afraid to miss on the memories when we were traveling with my husband. I've been making photos everywhere, being afraid to miss on the memories, to not have this memory on my phone, as well as like when you see other people making countless photos, it makes you feel inadequate if you don't do that, because you cannot not pay attention to all of these millions of phones around you. For me, the solution from this situation was, first of all, I realized that it's not so pleasurable for me to visit very touristic locations, so I try to avoid that. This is my cue, being in the touristic location. And second, just even when we go out or when we travel, I try to give the phone to my partner, so he's keeping it in his pocket. And this is already like a bigger friction to pull out my phone when it's not in my pocket, because I need to ask for this. The third step would be to check in on your decisions with yourself and trust it. Whenever you are making some decision, ask yourself, is this really what I need? If your answer is no, then what is it that I need? What is it that I think would be best in this situation? And when you get the answer, follow it and trust it. Our world has to propose so much more than what we can take. Some distractions will inevitably be trying to take you off the course, but what's happening within you must be decided by you, because if you allow others to decide what's happening within you, then they will drive you crazy in no time. Sometimes these decisions might seem small and insignificant, but the difference in how you feel will be drastic. For instance, if you feel like it's best for you to stay in bed, you feel tired and exhausted, it's smart to find courage to tell your friends that you are going to take a rain check on the party. And the fourth step of dealing with irrational FOMO is set your priorities clear and enjoy the JOMO. JOMO is an acronym for the concept of joy of missing out. Personally, I try to follow this concept, which is based on saying no to irrelevant opportunities, because you always check in whether that opportunity that comes into your life corresponds to your current list of priorities. Our world is so abundant and has so much to propose that being able to say no is a real strength and not a weakness. Think of it in this way. By saying no to irrelevant opportunities, you're saying yes to yourself. Now I'd like to give you the antidote to FOMO. This is a bonus step that will help you become much less susceptible to this feeling, like much less likely to become a target of it. And it goes like this. Focus. By adding consistent focus time into your everyday life, you're automatically gifting yourself the opportunity to live much happier, much more fulfilled life. Why is that so? Because FOMO makes you impatient and it keeps your mind wandering around, being scattered, unorganized, and chaotic. So, when you are directing your energy somewhere in one certain activity, one thing, one intention or dream or goal, you're automatically bringing into your life that feeling of focus. You need to pick the activity that allows you to go into the deep state of concentration. It can be learning languages, it can be learning to play piano, for instance, it can be dancing or doing sports, whatever works for you. While initially focusing on something might feel like missing out, in the long run it is an investment that only compounds and grows with time. Now it's time to sum up everything that I've covered in this video. Let's go! FOMO, or the fear of missing out, is a feeling that appears when you believe that others have more fun experiences than you do. FOMO can be rational and irrational. Third is rational FOMO can serve you as a signal to be more accepting of your reality or to recognize and move closer towards your values. Dealing with irrational FOMO requires shifting perspective, introducing practices that are focused on the present moment, and reducing the cues that trigger your FOMO. If you want to beat the FOMO, follow the JOMO, the concept of joy of missing out by saying no to irrelevant opportunities. And the last one is that regular focused time will help you become less sensitive to FOMO and bring you purpose and meaning in life. If this video was useful to you, please hit like and subscribe buttons. That would notify me that I am making the difference in this world and will motivate me to do deeper and better research for my future videos. Thank you for watching it till the end. How often and in which situations do you experience FOMO? Write in the comments, it will be incredibly interesting for me to read. And see you in the next videos.